Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pastor Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella. And right behind us, we have a picture from our friend Brian, who is a photographer, and he's been around the scene, the Bernie Sanders scene, since 2015, and he took some of the best photographs there, and he took this one, as you can see, of the LA rally for Bernie in Grant Park, and it's pretty awesome. And as you can see, there's a lot of Russian bots.
Yeah.
They're all there.
All of Bernie's special donors are there in the crowd. So, you know what I'm saying? You met with all his private donors this day. I believe we have a little video, fam, you want to go right into, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and show a little bit of Bernie's speech. And we were both there in person. So honestly, it's really different when you're there in person because you're like preoccupied with trying to get everything done. So let's go ahead and show some of that.
There you go! Wow, there are more people here than in the state of Vermont. Thank you. Let me begin by thanking great musicians. Let me thank Marlon Cruz for her rendition of the national anthem. Let me thank Sandy Naranjo for her great environmental work. Let me thank Tom Lemon, who's standing up for workers in the trade union movement. And last but not least, let me thank Senator Nina Turner.
Yo.
So actually that was San Diego. I guess we got the wrong link, but it's okay because San Diego was wonderful. That was on Friday. We had a lot of friends who went to that one. And then Saturday was the rally, and we're going to show a lot of pictures that we have for Saturday and a bunch of surprises later on. So we have, first of all, this meme. CNN reported that Bernie Sanders' popularity has been plummeting. So I went ahead and made this meme with all the bottom pictures that the Bernie campaign has with San Francisco, LA, and San Diego. So just so you all know, reportedly San Francisco was the largest rally. It was 16,000 people. LA the second with 15,000 people, although that's still under debate. The numbers are between 15 and 20,000 still. Yeah. Because there was a lot of people across the street at City Hall that they weren't counting. And then we also have the San Diego rally, which had about 6,000 people at that one. Bernie did this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In between this, in between what he was doing here, he was also, the minute he got here, he went to talk to the union workers at the airport. Yep. Then he also went, when he was in LA, the morning he went to talk to the Muslim community. And then after that, he went straight to the rally. And then after that, he went to San Diego. And then he had another airport meeting before he left. And he finally gets to rest.
Yeah, I think it was great. You know, we've been to a few Bernie Sanders rallies, like the one on Saturday we went to in Los Angeles. And like we said, the numbers keep trickling in because across the street, they couldn't fit any more people in the Grand Park area. We were up on the press booth looking off to both sides, and it was just redonkulous. The great thing about it is, you know, with Saturday's one was like a campaign rally. So he did all the great hits. He talked about some subjects we'll probably get into a little bit later. But the Wednesday one, fam, he had this kind of energy, and it was only the second time I've seen him when he's striking, when he's doing what he loves, when he's walking the picket line with these workers. He actually jumped up on the stage before the last speaker was done to get up there and just give the energy, and everything he talked about fair wages. It was so relevant to what was going on there at UCLA, because even the UCLA workers, the professors, they're taking in the you-know-what, fam.
Exactly. And no other presidential candidate has done that. And while he was doing this, I'm going to talk about what Kamala Harris has been doing while Bernie Sanders has been doing this. I know Beto had a few rallies where he was on top of a car, because I guess that's his thing, being on top of random things.
Podiums, cars,
but
buses, and trains, and
I want to mention the fact that I got to be a head volunteer for this event, and it was really awesome because you got to see a different perspective than the media. It was kind of like seeing the entire thing in every direction possible. And there we are right there. I am right by Jane, and I'm with my family, my grassroots family.
Mr. Revolution down there.
Tim Johnson.
Danny
I'm gonna Singy, Danny Garcia.
There's Lauren Hamill out there.
Lauren is right there. Lauren Hamill, and then we have just many people that were part of the revolution. We have Stefania was there. Carlos Marroquin.
What about Shawnee Badger and Encore?
Shawnee and Encore were back there.
Look at them on the stage.
Delegates. So delegates were given
Maria
the
Estrada
opportunity, like Maria Estrada, to be back there holding these signs.
Look at the crowd, fam.
And that crowd. I mean, and these Bernie letters, by the
sign,
way,
fam.
Michelle Eileen, who did amazing as part of the staff for that day, and Lauren and Johnny over here worked on those letters early in the morning for like... We had to go to Michael's. It was a lot of work. So
they came out amazing, fam. Look at the colors.
Keith Anthony.
Wow, you can see that throughout the whole rally. We got some great other shots too as well. I mean, what a great job. I didn't understand what was going on because pretty much, Fam mostly was a volunteer, and she was also pressed when she had a chance. I was able to be fortunate to be pressed and not be swamped and just have the load of work that you guys handled. I just got to say bravo to all you guys, Michelle Eileen, Lauren Amble, you, Johnny, getting the ladders there, getting those signs up.
Thank you, Nicholas James Billing for the ladders.
Great job.
Like the chair delivery, all of that stuff. Like
great,
awesome.
great job.
And what did you feel? How did you feel about the rally, Pasa? Let's talk about how you felt, the energy of the crowd. How was that like?
Well, I mean, the thing is kind of like, on this show, I try to be the comedy relief and whatnot stuff. I try to. You're so intense. You're so savage. You're
am intense.
Boom. You know what I'm saying? That I felt. Let me. In this particular situation, let me go have some fun with some people because the energy was just there. Because people really have real hope. This ain't Obama hope. This is like real hope that we can make a change. So going around and talking to all these people and doing some fun Bernie trivia, it was just great. I really felt uplifted. Everybody was there, that you knew. You saw everybody. The press booth, they're not ignoring them this time, fam. That press booth, we were jammed up there, right, Johnny? We got told to walk lightly. But just amazing. And and like I said, this was all about the Beatles hits. When these particular rallies, he takes his time. He's now got the Bernie water cooler he drinks up there, and he goes boom, 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 almost like an hour of just speaking.
Like an hour and 10 minutes. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but in the beginning, I guess my job was to look for suspicious people, suspicious activity, kind of go undercover, which is what I like to do anyway. And I was just observing different people, and people were coming in with such positive energy. They were just happy to be there. Yeah. They didn't even care. They were just like, cheering. And Tim Johnson was part of the the cheer squad team of the Bernie Sanders volunteers.
Great job for him.
And they were really excited. Also, Madeline Merritt was on that. And they were cheering people, and people were really excited to be there. And it's just this energy that you get kind of at a concert. It felt like a music festival. It didn't feel like a political rally. Because when you look in comparison at like Kamala Harris's political rallies or Beto O'Rourke's, it's so serious. Rally? It's like such a serious vibe. I didn't like it at all.
Did you make a post or something? I think you talked about how many people were at the last Kamala Harris.
2,400 people were at the last Kamala Harris in
California?
In Texas. Oh. She was smart enough not to go during the time Bernie was there because she knows that she wouldn't pull half the crowd. I mean, the Democratic Party chair for San Francisco endorsed Bernie Sanders. So that's like her backyard. That's like her home. Yeah. She should have, of course, higher than Bernie's numbers, but she doesn't. Nobody does. And so that's something that these candidates, I think, are a little bit scared of.
Who's Nancy Pelosi supporting, by the way? She's in San Francisco.
Did she decide?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I know
damn
well she ain't supporting freaking Bernie Sanders and stuff. Not at all. You know who was also great is, too, and we should make a T-shirt and say, with these hands,
Miss Nina Turner. She saved the day, by the way. There was awesome. I'm going to mention this really quickly. There was a woman that had a reparations banner, and Nina Turner was there making sure everything went smoothly. Bernie Sanders went ahead and spoke about these issues. The campaign did a great job of making sure that that was handled well, but that was also due to Nina and several other volunteers who were there to make sure, because Bernie Sanders is a candidate that's never going to make it about himself. He's always elevating other people, and he did show that. He's shown it time and time again when it happened with the Black Lives Matter activists.
Yeah.
Versus Hillary, who gets angry and, you know, and does the complete
Kicks her
opposite.
out, yeah.
Yeah, so we, you know, I
Bernie,
think it's
remember,
just...
he folded the hands and he sat there and watched. I want to reiterate that because if you don't know out there, most people do know that in Seattle, Bernie Sanders had some protesters from Black Lives Matter come over and take the microphone. And Bernie Sanders himself said, step aside, and let's listen. And you were there, so you saw the whole thing. And I think you said that Nina Turner handled this thing beautifully.
Nina Turner saved the day, and she was also taking selfies with people, talking to everybody. She talked to Lauren Steiner. Shout out to Lauren Steiner. Her phone was new and malfunctioned, and honestly, I believe her because she's not good with the technology, and she it was like putting little faces on.
Nina Turner had bunny ears,
like bunny ears, bug eyes, but Nina Turner was willing to talk, and it's great when these people can do that. Ro Khanna was there. It was just a great event overall, and a lot of really good energy, and we feel that the community really embraces Bernie here, and the fact that he came out and addressed us, volunteers. Let me talk a little bit about that moment when he did come out. And I apologize that you weren't there. Nobody told me that you would have time to go around, but
no, that's okay.
But it was.
Ow! Excuse me, my heart hurts a little bit. I could have sat next. You were so close.
Yeah.
What kind of cologne does Bernie wear? Because I know you can smell it. What kind
the
of
revolutionary cologne.
Because you were so close.
Yeah.
But tell us what he says, because I love when he does this stuff. He did it in Westwood too. He did it in San Diego, and he does it in San Francisco. Tell the fams out there what Bernie does when he addresses people.
Well, Bernie came out with Jane, and they said, "Look, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here. We're gonna win. We have the people, we have you guys, you know, we're going to do this." He was very optimistic, very positive, and he spoke to the volunteers and thanked them and said, "This is not about me, this is about all of us, and we are going to do this together. If we can actually do what we're doing here nationwide, we are going to win." And he talked to all of us, and he was very, humble, and then he went and took a picture with all of our group, which is a picture you guys see there. And it was awesome. A lot of people started crying. I shed a few tears. It was like a wonderful. It was like seeing the last time I felt that kind of emotion was when I saw Paul McCartney sing at Bonnaroo in 2012.
Well, thank
God.
And
he was like Bernie. He was old and and he sang longer than any of the other young artists, but he brought this kind of emotion, and that's the kind of sentiment, the Beatlemania I feel like Bernie has.
Well, Bernie does, and I'm going to put this on record right now. I'll be cool with you crying at a Paul McCartney concert, but if you were crying at a Dave Matthews conference, I would walk my ass right out the freaking door. Can we show him the Bernie album cover we made?
Dave Matthews. Pasta does it. He makes fun of me Bernie, for that.
On the steps with the Bernie's the one that we put in the folder over there. When I was sitting down.
You were modeling.
Well, I didn't. I mean, Johnny was like, "Pasta, strike a pose or something, man."
There's Lauren behind there.
One. I mean, this is the stuff they did. It was amazing work you guys did. You can see the album cover. Go to my Instagram at Yo Pasta. Cover. You can see my food, my cake.
Yeah, that looks like a rap album about to be released. Is that?
Somebody put that down like it's a great album, but I love the picture. Johnny took it. Zach worked on it and stuff. But fam, can we show my little? We have a video we're going to be releasing because while fam was getting all serious and savage, Pasta and Johnny were having fun going out there. I just wanted to do something that was fun where people I can capture the energy. So we did some Bernie quiz trivia. Now we're just going to show you little clippets. In the morning we'll have the full one released on our YouTube, on our Facebook. This is a little sample about what's to come. Pasta and Johnny Tsunami out there working the crowd. Give it a little shot. Let's get started over here. I got 10 questions. We're going to see. We're going to test. Tally, ready? All right, Tally. In what year did Bernie Sanders get arrested for protesting segregation?
Oh my God! It was 1959. 1967 in the 70s. 64, 63.
1963 is right. Ding, ding, ding. As pertaining to policy, what is Bernie Sanders thinking in Congress? I have no idea. I actually don't know. Pass bills. The amendment came.
Oh, and the amendment came.
Boom! Tally got it right.
He got the most amendments ever. So whenever somebody tells you that Bernie didn't do shit in Congress, that's an absolute lie. He worked with the Rules Committee way back, and yeah. Okay.
Tally knows the amendment came. Nobody in history has amended more bills and found more power.
400 and something.
It is in the 400s. Tally knows her shit. Okay, here's a good one. You might know this one. Okay. What sport did Bernie Sanders compete in high school? There it goes.
Nice. Hey, I do want to keep watching that. That looks really exciting.
Yeah, we just want to have fun. You know what I'm saying?
It's good. Someone needed to have like whimsical fun.
I mean, I was going to start asking like some serious questions, and we did. You got to tune in because we asked every single one of those people, fam, too, as well. Bonus a question, an opinion about who they think would be a good vice president for Bernie Sanders. I'm not going to tell you the answers, but I can tell you somebody who gave the answers I like won the tiebreaker.
Someone just told me that our volume is messed up. Is it going? Just the
video. Just the video. But we'll have the video volume working properly
we're going to have the video.
We'll have it working all and everything like that. But fam, that was that. And you talked about what happened on Wednesday when you talked to Westwood. Is there anything you want to touch upon that?
So on Wednesday, as I said, Bernie was hanging with the unions. UCLA workers went there and they marched, and I was there as well. It started raining. That didn't stop them. And as soon as Bernie was coming on the stage, the rain stopped. I'm not even joking. Like it stopped right before he went on stage. And they were just wanting higher wages. They were wanting
fair wages,
job security. Yeah, fair wages, not even anything extraordinary. Yeah. And Bernie was there with the unions and the picket lines, and it was great. We were kind of just there helping and standing in solidarity with them. Yep. And then it was a very short 20-minute speech, and then he left. But while he was doing that, Kamala Harris, I'm going to go ahead and jump to this. Kamala Harris was there actually at a fundraiser with for Shonda Rhimes. So Shonda Rhimes at that same day, the 20th of March, did a fundraiser for Kamala Harris. And while she was doing that, Bernie Sanders was standing with the unions. So that's a whole thing that just tells you exactly what the difference as to where they stand.
Well, I didn't even know that and stuff. Damn.
Yeah. And
like I said, the energy on Wednesday was really good. And I worked right around the corner from there. I opened up a restaurant called Rocco's, one of my Rocco's in Westwood. And I know I've talked about with a lot of these teachers, a lot of these deans, a lot of these, they make them part-time workers, and they bring in these independent contractors is what they call. No, independent contractors in this university, especially as pertaining to UCLA, means they're just going to screw the full-time workers.
Correct.
And not give them the money and the benefits they deserve. And they can just do away with them. And that's what the university is doing. And like they said, and certain people, certain union leaders who spoke, and when Bernie Sanders spoke, they said the same thing. How come the guy who comes and mops and sweeps every day can't afford to make a decent living, a fair living wage, but the guy who doesn't do jack shit is collecting millions and millions of dollars off the workers down below who make sure that community, that university operates on a positive level every single friggin' day.
And bonuses, like they're receiving, the CEO received like $300,000 in bonuses while these people are getting nothing. So we'll talk a little bit more about Kamala later and something else she did today. But let's go ahead and talk about the big story. Yeah. The big story, fam. You love this.
Yeah, I do and it kind of did bother me. I don't want to break down Bernie's speech right now, but one of the things he did mention, and he said he got somewhat of a half cheer, and I can hear some of the progressives.
I disagree with you. I'll tell you why.
Well, I mean, there are some reasons, but when Mr. Revolution was taking an interview with KPFK after, and they were speaking to him, and I was right there, and they said, well, how do you feel about the Mueller report? And I feel the same way. I don't give a damn. I'm not going to listen to this guy. I don't care what this guy has to say. This guy lied us into war. Bernie Sanders kind of addressed it, talked about it, that it should be public. I disagree. I don't care anymore. There are some positives. I think that Donald Trump's going to have to juggle all this stuff if it does come out more bullshit to juggle. But they've already made him look like a victim. They've already kind of made him look like he was being picked on by the establishment. How much more and how further could we go with this, fam?
I think making the Mueller report public, which is what Bernie started out saying, let's just make this report public. I think doing that is absolutely intelligent, because that way, once it's public, because there's nothing there, there's going to be nothing for these establishment Democrats and the mainstream media to go fishing in there and being like, oh, well, we haven't seen the full report. I'm sick and tired of hearing them say we haven't seen the full report. So yeah, let's make the whole thing public, and you're still not going to find anything.
Yeah.
And I think Bernie is so smart that he knows this, and he's saying, okay, just make it public. And that's all he said. He started with that, and then now he's going to go on to the things that are more important, the things that actually matter. And that's when he went on to Medicare for all, to the oligarchs, to the 99% versus the 1%, and he got that out of the way, because you know what? If he didn't mention it, he was going to get attacked. And I think when you're running a campaign, you have to think of all the optics and think of how everything's going to be viewed. And he didn't. I think, to me, it's like, let's make it public. Let's let the public know. That way, nobody else can have the audacity to say we need to see the full report. And I'm with it on that. I don't agree with his previous focus on it, but I also think that was also tactical. And so, fam, after 2 years,
Yes,
journalists, progressives, voices of dissent, freaking Susan Sarandon, Jill Stein, all of these people have been attacked and blamed by liberals on how we're all Russian bots and Putin puppets, and how everybody, like I said, from Susan Sarandon to every single Bernie supporter, were to blame for Hillary's loss to Donald Trump. But now, and let's not mention the fact that they were lionizing war criminals, and they were lionizing the
word.
CIA and the FBI as if they were trustworthy people like Mueller. And Mueller was put out as a hero. All of this has come to an end because the Mueller report has shown nothing thus far, and the whole report hasn't even been released. But he's like, nope, I can't do anything. Why?
I put up this Trump with his tweet when he says completely exonerated, no Russian collusion, not one single person was indicted for Russian collusion. And fam, I was going to put up a lot of stuff because I want to always talk about the irresponsibility and how irresponsible it was of the mainstream media of doing what they're doing, of kind of pushing up this World War III kind of rhetoric against against a nuclear power. And all this whole Russiagate thing is plain and simple. It's all about American elites not wanting to share their global power with Russia and China. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama was able to play ball. And let me tell you something. Trump has been harder on Russia than both those guys. And I can't understand how people call him a puppet, because the sanctions are a lot worse. He's walked away from the INF, which is the nuclear program. And now, as of recent, you got John Bolton and Pompeo, and they're pumping up these actions. Now, a lot of times on the Baltic Sea, you have a lot of Russian planes escorting out bombers from the United States out of their airspace. They scramble them up quick, and this has been going on and happening more and more frequent. Even some warships going through the China Pass, antagonizing, being a bully, okay? And this is all Pompeo, this is all Bolton, and it's really, really bad because those bombers, fam, since we walked away from the INF, they're now going to be armed with nuclear freaking missiles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's terrible.
And this is all and I tweeted about it earlier, this all started from a ploy to divert the attention away from the rigging of the primaries for Hillary Clinton. Because if you remember, after that, Seth Rick was found murdered, and then nobody knew about, nobody still knows to this day about that. Then they went on to you
got that meme,
yeah. Then they went on to arrest the journalist Julian Assange over the WikiLeaks, and then right after that, we're back to forgetting about the DNC. We're all paying attention to Russiagate, and it's one of those things that I think the public, it was pushed so hard that many people fell for it, even progressives. And I love it when I'm seeing people who are finally saying, hey, sorry, I was wrong. That I admit I was wrong. What I don't respect is people that are still like clutching into it and doing this and not paying attention. And here's the meme, just so you guys have it. You want
it was right after, it was those primaries got rigged for Hillary Clinton. And then for no particular reason at all, Seth Rich died, a botched robbery with nothing to see in a high-end area like that. Bullshit. A journalist got himself charged, fled. He's hiding out in the embassy today. And thank God for Julian Assange. He's just given us nothing but the truth. And also then, just like that, everything was forgotten about the DNC primaries. And I want to thank Ray Foley for making a super chat contribution of $10.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Is it Ray or Roy? It's Ray. Hey, say hey, Ray. But fam, I wrote you a poem.
Oh, God.
And because I know the quickest way to fam's heart. Because if you think that you could just come with butterflies, chocolates, and flowers for fam, you're wrong. Let me show you how it's done. Fam, I wrote this poem about what happened with the Mueller report and everything else, directed towards the media. Okay, it's all over now. I can see the tears dripping down the face of Rachel Maddow. You thought you had the president by his big lying balls, but you came up with bupkis, and now the establishment must fall. We waited for years while Mueller went nuts, but you forgot about the past lies that came out of this putz. He lied about WMDs that were supposedly in Iraq, but regardless of his lies, the Dems still wanted him back. So just like that, your tax dollars were spent, as one after the other, he fed us useless indictments. And now that Mueller has concluded his case with zero collusion, the mainstream media is still sparing their narrative, but fortunately, they're done. That didn't rhyme well. You see, people aren't listening anymore. They don't believe in your lies. We won't trust Rachel Maddow now, no matter how hard she cries. So support independent media. We're far from corrupt, and tell the mainstream media that their time is finally up.
Wow.
Fam?
That was all good, except I would have said illusion after you said delusion.
I know.
Sorry, the writer in me
he's
is
giving
like,
me well, fam,
I'll
I
give
wrote you
an
that
A
poem.
minus.
I want to talk about the responsibility. I mean, the responsible, the irresponsible mainstream media. But once again, it's not being irresponsible. They did this by design.
Oh, absolutely.
Having on these warmongers like Max Boot to MSNBC and promoting these Republicans, these neocons. And that's the thing, fam. The warmongers aren't just in the Republican Party. They're in the Democratic Party, too, as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And they were all a part of this ploy, and we need to get them out because this is dangerous. Like I said, I don't want Donald Trump putting nuclear missiles on B bombers, B-12 bombers, whatever B they are, B-16, I don't care, B-4, whatever they are. This is Russia, another nuclear superpower, and it's just because the elites don't want to give up that power and share it with Russia and China. Exactly.
And just to kind of close out this segment, since we have this graphic here, since Mr. Mueller's appointment in May 2017, the team has focused on how Russian operatives sought to sway the outcome of the 2016 presidential race and whether anyone tied to the Trump campaign wittingly or unwittingly cooperated with them. While the inquiry started months earlier by the FBI, unearthed a far-ranging Russian-influenced operation, no public evidence emerged that the president or his aides illegally assisted it. So I want to say this. Trump is corrupt. Trump should be in jail. Trump is terrible. He's done awful things. And if we were to go back to the Clinton presidency or the Reagan presidency and everything else that we've experienced this whole, like in the last, 50 years, we would put these people, all of them, in jail.
Obama would be in jail for NSA lying bullshit.
I absolutely agree with that. Trump should be held accountable. But that doesn't mean that he colluded with Russia and it's his fault that Hillary lost the presidency. And why it's important that we acknowledge that is because we don't want them to lose this time. Because Bernie Sanders is the front runner. And if the Democrats don't take responsibility for what they're doing, they're going to continue to push everybody away because everybody sees them as hypocrites and liars. Yeah. So they're not going to vote for them. And it's like, to me, it's like all about accountability. If you cannot admit you're wrong, if you cannot take accountability, then we're not going to win. We're not going to progress. And the Democrats will never win another election.
Yeah, and it's
They
the
just
truth.
won't.
And Bernie Sanders has to carry around this weight, all this baggage that the Democratic establishment creates. Bernie's got to carry it around because when it comes to independents or centrists in the general election, they're just going to walk away from the Democratic Party because they hate that party whatsoever. And guess what, fam? Guess how much this whole debacle from fucking Mueller cost us? $35 million. Couldn't we fix the water in Flint instead of giving this donkey who lied about WMMDs in Iraq $35 million? You know what I'm saying? And he lied horribly, and if he didn't lie, he was just so awfully wrong that we should have never listened to Robert Mueller ever again. Just put it to fucking rest already.
And just the last thing, Amir, who's great, said this tweet earlier today. He said, "Yup, centrists really revived McCarthyism, vilified the left and whistleblowers, celebrated war criminals, declared intelligence agencies as pillars of integrity, and independent foreign media as public enemy, all because they couldn't even beat a clown after rigging their own primaries."
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I couldn't find a more perfect little snippet of information. That is exactly what happened.
And I hate to thank the mainstream media for doing this for us right here because that's why we exist today. This is the fucking heart and soul. When you just push this McCarthyite bullshit on people, and let me tell you something, fam. I peeked at them. They're not stopping.
No, they're
Rachel
not.
Maddow is doubling down. Keith Olbermann is doubling down. These were supposed to be people on the left, and they're so xenophobic. The other day, Keith Olbermann said Russian scum. Can you imagine if you placed that with anything else?
Replace it with any other ethnicity.
It's disgusting. And this asshole is on the freaking, and they're trying to narrow political debate. They're trying to thwart political discourse. And that's why I'm saying that the Democratic Party can be just as fascist as the Republican Party. Right there.
And this happened before in the 1950s, which is what we're referring to, where they literally blacklisted many voices of dissent, actors, many writers, many of your favorite musicians, authors. They were seen as being communists and working for the Russian government simply because they did not agree with the way the government was handling their foreign policy decisions. And going along with this, fam, unless you have anything else to say.
I don't, because I like to get to the next part because there's somebody there that's really fucking fighting for us. Go ahead.
Yes. So the establishment Dems,
same ones
as ever, have threatened AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. What happened was Steny Hoyer took a swipe at Ilhan Omar and said that she had a dual loyalty during the AIPAC event. The AIPAC event that MoveOn.org and several other orgs said that they didn't even want their any of these candidates to go to, and the majority of them agreed. I think Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris had agreed.
And she'd been
Bernie
in
Sanders,
AIPAC before, yeah.
All of them had agreed not to go, so they weren't going to go. And
not Steny, not Chuck,
Steny Hoyer,
not Nancy.
Not only was he saying all of this, he got a standing ovation.
Of course,
for criticizing particularly the three, AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib, before the AIPAC audience. Just so you all know, we have about 62 freshman Democrats. They're focused on those three for a reason, and then now we have 300 million Americans who are struggling to make ends meet, and then we have these select elite who are taking money from AIPAC, who are lobbyists. That's the focus. It's not about them being Jewish. It's about being lobbyists. And so they're turning around and using this kind of tokenized, anti-Semitism, which has nothing to do with the fact that they're receiving money.
Yeah, it's just a red herring, the anti-Semitic thing. It's to distract you over here. So now you're talking about anti-Semitism, but you're not talking about lobbyists. And even Donald Trump, the liar-in-chief, who set up there with his whole drain the swamp kind of speech that we're going to get rid of lobbyists. We're going to pass a bill that restricts you from going to work for lobbyists 2 years after you work for a staff from somebody in a political job. So he's full of shit too, because he's been taking money hand over fist from AIPAC. Beto took money from pro-Israel lobbyists back.
Second
Number
most in
two,
Congress.
Another one, so he can stand up on the friggin' thing over there. I don't give a shit. But this is, once again, this is about lobbyists and lobbyists with their special interest. And if anybody has any, if they want to put any tags to anything on the chat showing any of these Democrats that take money from AIPAC, we love to expose them even more. Open Secrets has some stuff up there, but if you have some other links that you can link down below, help out the Convo Couch. We'll mention you because we want to know who's taking money from lobbyists. And I don't care where the lobbyists come from, whether they be big pharma, big oil, military-industrial complex, and AIPAC, pro-Israel. Lobbyists are bad. They speak for rich elites. not for poor everyday people.
Exactly. And speaking on that, fam, Kamala Harris had signed a pledge with Move On that she wasn't going to go. And she didn't go to that particular conference, but she did get to go meet with them. She had them come to her office. She tweeted, she said, today, great to meet today in my office with the California AIPAC leaders to discuss the need for a strong U.S.-Israel alliance and the right of Israel to defend itself and my commitment to combat anti-Semitism in our country and around the world. This is really dangerous. It's not only disrespectful because she totally broke her word, but it's really dangerous because they are any kind of criticism of Netanyahu's government, of Israel, of AIPAC is now seen as anti-Semitism, and she is pushing that narrative. So now the Palestinian people who've been completely ignored by our own government have literally like no defense. And on top of all that, she said she wasn't going to go, and now she's breaking that pledge, which tells you how she's going to be, how she would be as president.
Yeah.
How dare anybody vote for someone like that can't even keep their word? Even if you disagree on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that is a person that doesn't commit to their word.
Leave it right there. I'm going to read that real quick. I wanted to read Roy's super chat real quick because it's not fair. Love your work. Try to cover the No to NATO in April in D.C. I'm going and meeting up with some friends you might know to let our government know the Soviet Union broke up. The No to NATO. Listen, let me just talk about this right now because this is a big thing. Because NATO is a obsolete kind of group. Okay, they've broken their promises from years ago, and you're talking about when we had when Russia put missiles in Cuba for the Cuban Missile Crisis. United States went apeshit crazy, and within a month there was almost threats of World War III. The Soviet Union pulled all their missiles out and took them back. Now we have all our missiles along the Baltic countries, the Baltic states, right on the border of Russia. Nuclear missiles pointed right at them. We've been creeping up and bullying and intensifying, a situation. So I mean, that's what he talks about. The No to NATO. NATO is obsolete. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, Donald Trump's idea of fixing it is just making sure we get our money and get paid for it. Selling more weapons. He doesn't want to get rid of NATO. He talked about NATO being bad and he wanted to get rid of it. No, he's going to keep NATO. He just wants everybody to pay up for their fair share of weapons that are sold by guess who, fam? Guess where they're made and sold by? Right here in the United States to all those other countries. And that's what this No to NATO shit is.
And also just before, and I think that's something that we need to look into, and I'm totally down to go, because foreign policy is, I think, where the American public needs to be better educated, because I understand that we're so focused on what we have to do here that the foreign policy just kind of dissipates.
But the domino effect, fam, we talked about it all the time, especially when it comes to immigration. We go in, we use our foreign policy, we overturn Manuel Zelaya in Honduras. 80% of the people in the caravans are coming from one fair. Honduras, Manuel Zelaya. Okay, so that was our foreign affairs problem that we started, which led a domino chain reaction. Now we're dealing with immigration, who can come in, who can't come in, who's a political prisoner, how do we stop this, should we build a wall, all stemming from what? Hillary Clinton wanted to remove the socialistic leader, and that just a chain reaction of events. And the same thing happened in Europe when it came to Iraq, when it came to Syria. We caused major problems within these countries because we destroyed those other countries.
Exactly. And also terrorism that we created as well. And Kamala Harris, by the way, going back to her really quickly, she did backpedal from supporting Medicare for all. That was also another big news of the day.
What a surprise.
She did. It's not exactly. And so apparently, reportedly, Elizabeth Warren, which is something I have to further research, because that really, I was starting to be like, oh, at least, she's trying, and all these people are backpedaling. They're not really in it. They're going to backpedal the moment they get power. Yeah. Bernie Sanders is literally the only one, besides maybe a Tulsi, who seems really committed to supporting these progressive ideals. So speaking of Bernie Sanders, while Kamala Harris has been meeting with AIPAC, Bernie Sanders, as you know, did all the rallies. He also went to the Muslim Public Affairs Council. He had the honor of speaking at the Islamic Center of Southern California.
Look how awesome that is.
And he was there, and he said, now is the time for everybody to come together and show the world that love
look at that pig,
will
fam.
win.
Wow.
And then he said, this is a difficult moment where we see a rise in hate crimes and a growing tendency
towards authoritarianism.
Towards authoritarianism. So while she was meeting with AIPAC, he's been meeting with a Muslim community who, as many of you know, has been
fam. Oh, I love that picture.
Affected, right? They've been affected by the New Zealand
fucking xenophobic bullshit.
Which was, as this young activist told Chelsea Clinton, a result of all of their, not just the Republicans, but the Democrats' treatment of people like Ilhan Omar. And Ilhan Omar can't even go to events because she is being threatened by so many people. And people who don't even understand that she's not an anti-Semite. She's simply anti-corporate lobbyists, money, and corrupt politicians who happen to be Netanyahu, who happen to be coming from Israel. That's it.
Sarah Abdullah made a great tweet, too, as well, when it talked about Obama and the Muslim countries and stuff. You know, when he made an apology, when he talked about the Netherlands thing, and how what a open, just terrible, it's a heartless, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm at a loss for words today. It's a feckless apology. Okay, this guy bombed all over the Middle East, killed millions of Muslims, and it's just disgusting. And that's the whole thing. This is not just about Republicans. This is about Democrats doing it. And I think that Ilhan Omar made that kind of step across the line where she's like, okay, there's no turning back. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to make people uncomfortable. I'm going to still keep talking out against lobbyists. So what, I'm going to be attacked. So what, I'm going to be threatened. But she's going all the way. She's all in. And that's why I say Ilhan is my favorite politician. And we got to keep, I mean, the xenophobic that's coming out of the left is almost disgusting.
It is. And I think she started this movement, and I don't think the establishment expected her to have this support. And she does. And I say continue supporting her, continue donating to her, continue giving her words of encouragement, because she is, and even her comrades haven't really come out fully to her defense because of just how like powerful these people are, this wing of the Democratic Party. It's disgusting, and we need to step away from that. We need to stop equating anti-Semitism with the criticism of the government. The same way we don't, we criticize our country, and that doesn't mean that we want to somehow destroy it. It just means we're criticizing our country because we care. And I think equating that is extremely dangerous, and it's a form of fascism, ironically enough. It's entirely a form of fascism.
So. And they also put this kind of like nationalistic mindset behind it that you have to stand up for the United States no matter what. Bullshit. I mean, we're being bullies all around the world. We talked about the Baltic Sea now with all these planes and these Russian jets that they're
in Venezuela.
In Venezuela, and also now in China, we're taking aircraft carriers and flying and sailing them through their waters. You know what I'm saying? We're being a bully everywhere, and that's what you get from neocons like Bolton and Pompeo. And it was all made possible by the Democratic establishment. And all this waste of the $35 million, all this time talking about the Russian boogeyman, it's just been awful. We could have been doing other things, fixing other things. $35 million should have went to fix Flint's water. Instead, it went to zero indictments for collusion, Russian collusion with the Trump campaign.
And I just, to close, fam, I just want to leave people with the idea that you don't have to be committed to a candidate right now, but look at their actions. Don't just look at the words. Don't just look at the things they promise right now that they're running for president. Look at their previous record. Look at the legislation they've supported. Go to Open Secrets. Look who they're voting for. Look where they're getting their money, which is a number one for me. And then look at what they're doing now. Look at how, if they're already backpedaling like Kamala Harris is backpedaling. Look at who is actually standing and with the people and going to these events, and look at the numbers. Look who's getting thousands and thousands of people to their rallies. Why is the mainstream media not constantly talking about this? The only coverage Bernie Sanders' rallies is getting is independent media and local news. The local news has done a very good job of covering it because they can't ignore it. It's literally like the biggest event anytime he's here. But the national news that day, CNN had some stupid thing on about like just some random thing. It had nothing to do with politics. It was like breaking news. It was like it was ridiculous.
Maybe
like,
they were tired of showing Trump's empty podium while Bernie Sanders was giving a speech, so they went and did something else. Hey, today on CNN, while there's 17,000 people out to see Bernie Sanders, instead of covering his speech, we're going to do a special on mockingbirds that are living
literally,
in,
that's what it was. It was something ridiculous like that.
We're going to do tree houses in Oklahoma instead of watching Bernie Sanders' speech. So,
and they don't have to like him. That's the thing. They don't have to like him, but they can still cover it. And part of the reason why Donald Trump got so popular is because instead of covering Bernie, they covered him. So there you go. There's another leg to blame there, and it's not coming from the progressive side. It's coming from the Democratic establishment themselves.
There was a volcano that erupted in Italy tonight. Who to blame? Russia. Follow us at 7 o'clock.
Exactly.
That's the bullshit they go in.
Which is why we're here. Which is why we
you.
support independent media, people like Jimmy Dore, people like Nico House.
Yeah.
And just voices of dissent.
Yeah. And
voices of dissent.
We've been on this. I showed you the Russian thing because we mocked this whole thing. But we've been on this anti-Russia gate bullshit from the get-go. We've been with the Jimmys, the Nikos, the Caitlyn Johnsons, the people who were speaking out. And I am so disturbed by some of my friends over there at TYT, like Cenk Uygur, who won't concede to anything. Hey man, this is the time now. You better step across the line. You're either with us or against us, because that's a non-progressive move.
Or Anna Kasparian.
Oh please,
calling Tulsi not a progressive. I mean, based on policy alone, right now in the last few years, Tulsi has been a progressive. She dropped out, the only one to drop out and endorse Bernie Sanders for president. Are you kidding me? How is she not progressive? She's part of the Sanders Institute. She's part of our revolution. She like has done interviews with Jane Sanders for the Sanders Institute. She is there, right there, with the same kind of platform. She just doesn't have the name recognition yet.
Yeah.
But I think in the future that might be something she can work on. Is she flawed? Yes. Is Bernie flawed? Yes. But you know what? I think they own it when they are flawed, and there's a difference. There's a growth there that you can see with candidates, and that's not the same growth that I'm seeing with the other candidates. And I think, also supporting Tulsi as someone that I just literally spent an entire week working for the Bernie rallies. I think it's important to support progressives to get on that debate stage.
Yep.
Whether you give her $1, $2, whatever it is, she should be on that debate stage because we need to hear her side and her foreign policy. And she is a progressive. And I think at least give her the chance to prove it to you if you're not convinced.
Do you have Cenk Uygur's tweet up there? But I will concede absolutely nothing. If we can find it, we will. And it is important. I don't care if they don't say she's a progressive. It's important. There are certain people. Bernie Sanders is going to have to pick a cabinet if he beats Donald Trump or when he beats Donald Trump. And there are certain people, we want to get some aces in places. And Tulsi Gabbard is an ace. A lot of people say they want her as vice president. I personally want her as Secretary of State. But she is... I
think she'd be more effective as Secretary of State.
I think she'd be the best Secretary of State of my personal fucking time.
Because no more war. Like, let's stop our regime change wars. Like, we want that. We don't want... And she... And some... That kind of experience and mentality... Like, I think it's...
And look at this donkey over here. We're going to pull this up right here. Look at this up. Okay? He goes, I will concede absolutely nothing, this guy says. Right there. Okay, if the Mueller report didn't look into Trump's business ties with the Russians before the elections, and he didn't look into his secret meetings with them after the election, then this is an epic debacle that looked into the exact wrong things. Now, this whole time he was like, oh, he's a Russian this, Russian that. He can't even concede that he was friggin' wrong. And you call yourself progressive media? You want to push this Cold War rhetoric with Russia, who's done nothing because they posted up some friggin' memes? Hey, Donald Jr. didn't get arrested. Kushner didn't get arrested. If they had the goods, if they had the evidence, they would be behind the bars. They would be behind bars. Hillary Clinton lost this election because she was god-awful. It had nothing to do with the Russians. It's time. Are the Russians in the room with you right now, Cenk?
They're here right now.
We
Johnny's a Russian.
Okay, Ronnie's a Russian bot. I mean, and to see this from Cenk, it was quite surprising because I knew Rachel Maddow would be there. I knew Keith Olbermann would be there. Bill Maher. All these donkeys would be there, but I expected a guy like Cenk. I expected a person like Anna to step up and do the right things. And you know what they're doing right now? Thank you. We're looking for checks out there, ladies. We want to make it big over here at the CONVO Couch because you need real independent media.
Just not checks from Putin or Soros.
Let me.
Those get sent back.
Send a check.
But that's what they're gonna say. We're getting money from Putin.
It's Putin. Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. Fam's got to go out. I got to go do some stuff and clean the kitchen. I am Craig Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Give us a convo.
Convo out, fam.
That's your line. I'm not
Jeez.
going to step on it anymore.